France on knees before EU empire. Frexit furious, Macron pleads with Merkel over borders. Emmanuel Macron's desperate bid to avoid border closures between France and Germany has sparked the furious reaction of a Frexit campaigner. French Health Minister Olivier Véran and the Secretary of State for European Affairs, Clement Beaune, will today publish a press release written in French and German, aimed at explaining the current spread of coronavirus cases in the Grand Est. To avoid any unilateral closure that would take the inhabitants of the region by surprise, including 50,000 border residents who cross the Rhine every day to go to work, the two members of Emmanuel Macron's government are considering an extremely rare initiative. The text will be addressed to the populations on both sides of the border. The goal is to avoid the chaos that prevailed during the sudden closures decreed without notice by Berlin in April 2020 during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. But the bizarre move sparked the fury of Les Patriots leader Florian Philippot, who took the opportunity to renew his call for France to leave the European Union. He said, Véran will write in German to the Germans to beg them not to close their border with France, to promise them efforts. France on its knees before the empire. When it comes to that level of submission, we better leave. Mr. Beaune has stepped up discussions with the federal authorities, with the minister-president of the land of Saarland and officials of the Palatinate and Baden-Württemberg, as well as with the president of the Grand Est region, Jean Rotner. He said, this time, if such a measure were to take place, it would be done in good coordination. The objective would be to avoid repeated PCR tests for cross-border workers and road hauliers, to preserve their right to go to work, as well as the maintenance of authorized border posts for all inhabitants, for limited journeys. In short, a minimum of flexibility, everything except the disastrous scenario of last spring with the police forbidding all crossings, for the first time since 1995, and the entry into force of Europe without Schengen borders. In their press release, Mr. Beaune and Mr. Véran have also decided to focus on transparency, describing where the virus is in the region. The Merkel deputy said, this is enormous progress compared to last year. Now people are talking to each other, from Paris to Berlin, from Merkel to the Saar, everywhere. Germany's decision to impose crossing restrictions with the Czech Republic and the Austrian province of Tyrol forced the European Commission to warn EU leaders over the implications of travel restrictions, undermining the principle of freedom of movement. Germany said on Monday its decision to impose border controls with the Czech Republic and Austria was a temporary measure of last resort, as it defended a lockdown extension against business demands for a roadmap to reopening. The new restrictions were prompted by alarm over outbreaks in the Czech Republic and Austria's Tyrol region of strains of the coronavirus that spread faster and caused more illness. Germany installed border checks on Sunday, drawing protest from Austria and concerns about supply chain disruptions that could damage the country's export-oriented manufacturing sector. Stefan Seibert, Chancellor Angela Merkel's chief spokesman, told a news conference. We have a situation in which we had to take all the necessary steps to prevent the virus variants spreading as quickly in Germany as they are doing unfortunately in neighboring countries.